Guests appear via the Smile Center hotline. Now, back to the Gary Parrish Show, live from the Bluff Restaurant and Sports Bar Studios on 92.9 FM, ESPN.
423, Gary Parrish Show here on 92.9 FM ESPN. I'll get into that Floyd Mayweather column Dan Wetzel wrote from the strip club last night. It's going to be around 4:44. Jeff Coggins at 5 o'clock, John Martin at 5:25. But right now, he's a hip-hop artist and activist from right here in Memphis. East High graduate, Marco Pavé. Marco, what's up?
Good.
Everything's all right. I appreciate you being here, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I told you privately, I'll tell you publicly. I had obviously heard about you from the TED Talks and all that stuff, and I'd heard the great reviews from the album, Welcome to Graceland. If people, you don't have it yet, go to iTunes. You can get it there. You can stream it, of course. Buy it. Support local musicians. And so I finally got around to listening to the album. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, this guy's good. Is it reasonable to describe it as a concept album?
It is, yeah.
Right.
It's definitely a concept album.
For people who are unfamiliar, the inspiration for the Welcome to Graceland album, what is it?
The inspiration for the Welcome to Graceland album, first is the I-40 bridge protest that happened in 2016, July. But specifically the Graceland protest that happened a week after that, August 2016. The I-40 bridge protest, smooth, no arrests, no injuries, no anything. It should have been a national story, but obviously it wasn't.
Right.
The Graceland protest, however, happened totally different. It was, people were arrested. Friends of mine, I seen them dragged by the police. It was a very strong effort to stop the protesters in front of, Elvis's house. And that really inspired me to be like, whoa, the grace is broken here. This is not what people think it is. So that's what the album is really about.
So you write the album, you record the album, you release the album, and the reviews have been fabulous.
Yeah.
How flattering is that you just never know how this is going to go, whether you'll be successful or not, whether the critics will like you or not. Mm-hmm. And the critics across the board, I mean, the Memphis Flyer, 5 stars, they don't just give those out to anybody. Yeah. It must be incredible to have this kind of attention on you. You're just 24 years old.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. I've been, doing the music thing for a while. But this is my debut album. This is the first, effort that I had to call an album. And the like you said, the praise is, really amazing. MTV News, NPR, Memphis Flyer giving it 5 stars. Like, I don't even know another album that has gotten 5 stars. So if y'all, if y'all got that album, tell me. But I got the joint. I got 5 stars. So this is super lit, and I'm excited about it.
I got Marco Pavé in studio with me. Going to be at the High Tone tomorrow night with Alfred Banks. That's going to be tomorrow night at the High Tone. Should be tremendous. You describe yourself as a hip-hop artist and activist. And I think that's interesting because there are some hip-hop artists who are just happy being hip-hop artists. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Moneybagg is probably just happy being a rapper.
Yeah.
He seems like I see him on Instagram. He seems very happy just being a rapper.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job at that. When you say activist, and you're interested in other things, which is among the reasons I'm interested in you, why I wanted to bring you in here and talk to you. There are obviously rappers who are interested in other things. Kanye's a great example, but it's more fashion design and that kind of stuff. Chance is a great example. He's doing real work in his community. I know that you and Chance are very different, but is that a common thing where he's really trying to do things in his community? Mm-hmm. You seem to be anxious to try to do things in this community as well.
Definitely. Only difference is I don't have a senator as a dad. But yeah,
And it's funny, like Chance has made this like I came from nothing. Like Chance is like Chance grew up like better than I grew up.
Exactly. But now it's super similar. Like that's the love I got from my city. I really have love for Memphis. And it's crazy that I have to explain it. Hip hop artists and social activists, because in the beginning those were one and the same. Those were exactly the same thing. But now it's a more of I have to make that distinction to let people know that hip hop is the platform that I'm activating from. I'm using this platform to, talk about the issues. Whatever voice that I do have, I'm going to utilize that to talk about the issues, just like my debut album is about the city of Memphis. My TED Talk was about art entrepreneurship and trying to build platforms for other people coming up like me, third grader. If they come up and say, hey, man, I want to be an artist, the world not shun them away and push them away and make them want to be something else. Let them be supported. So that's what it's really all about. I really just want people to, believe in themselves in a way. And hip hop allows me to believe and be freely without, a boss coming to me telling me, oh, you shouldn't say that. Or, I obviously do that on my own. I'm not going to be on my platform, being disrespectful to people. I'm thinking about, being politically correct all the time and thinking about how to, be respectful of other people's issues myself, so I really don't have to worry about somebody telling me how to do my things, because hip hop gives me that platform, that freedom to do it in a way.
You seem to take great pride in being an independent artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to do this that way. That's another thing that Chance has done, and
Mm-hmm.
and like he's reached the top. As an independent artist, he's won Grammys. He's selling out arenas. Like, it's a pretty rare thing. Is it easier today to try to do it as an independent artist, or is it still a tough climb?
The platform has been set, and if people think about it, Chance is an independent artist technically,
right?
But it's major players in that. But if we think about Jay-Z, that's an independent artist.
Right.
Jay-Z been independent since the 80s.
Right.
Like, that's the go-to person.
That's how he becomes a billionaire.
Exactly.
Right.
I stayed up last night to 3 a.m. listening to the whole discography while I'm working on my tour, the sponsorship plans for that. I'm like, I need some Jay-Z.
Right.
I need some, motivational, let's get this money.
Well, it seems like that the whole 444 album is sort of rooted in
Mm-hmm.
trying to, in his own way, provide a message for young guys like you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you become wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't show me your stacks of
Mm-hmm.
hundreds on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. That ain't real money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to get real money, here's the way you do it. Like, did you get that same message from that?
I mean, I got that message from Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
Like, so,
Okay.
like, if you've been on Jay, like, you really know, like, this, like you say, this probably for, the new people who just now getting into Jay-Z, the new people who didn't know Jay-Z was around, and who didn't know Jay was beefing with Tupac,
Right.
who didn't know all these things, like, but the message is still there, and it's another message. It was a more vulnerable. I'm a man. Like, I've made mistakes.
Sure.
I'm not, this perfect. Some of the stuff that I did talk about in the past was wrong. I'm doing
Well, the whole album is it's about Black independence,
Mm-hmm.
Black wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Like, it was like,
Yep.
I'm what, all that stuff, like, Big Pimpin' ain't really what I ought to be
No.
doing anymore.
Exactly.
And if I was, I apologize to my
Mhm.
wife, and
Mhm.
now I'm a different guy.
Mhm.
It's a really interesting album.
And it's a lineage. He's been telling this story, I feel like, since 2006, Kingdom Come. If you listen to Kingdom Come, that album is pretty much synonymous with 444.
Yeah.
It's songs on there where he's like, when Beyonce was 23, I probably loved my work more than I did she. But honestly, he's telling a story of how things went. And maybe then he was coming from a, more of a patriarchal standpoint. Now he's grown and, learned the feminist perspective from Beyonce. So now he can add that to it. But he's been trying to tell the same story since 2006.
Talking
That's my perspective.
No, I hear you. I'm talking to Marco Pavé here. The album is called Welcome to Graceland. You can get it on iTunes or anywhere else you get albums. Show tomorrow night at the High Tone with Alfred Banks.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're an activist in this city. It must be an interesting time to be an activist
Mm-hmm.
because from the president down, there's been some weird messages.
Mhm.
There's obviously the protest in Charlottesville, which trickle into protests here in Memphis around the statues. What do you make of the country we're living in right now? The city we're living in right now?
Man, the country, it's the same country that, our forefathers, fought, my specific forefathers being black, fought against and were slaves to. It's the same thing. Only 50 years ago, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination. It's 50 years. My dad was born in 68. So he had 7 years of stories to tell of racism before King died. So, and that's my dad. I got grandmothers, I got granddads, I got great grandmothers. Like, so we think about the history, how close it is to us. We gotta stop trying to separate it out from like it's been a long time. Charlottesville is Trump was elected in last year. Charlottesville, those things didn't happen independently of each other. They were happening in the same time. So that's, I encourage people to like really think about the history and just not being in such a bubble where we think like the world is just everybody thinks the same. Everybody's not liberal. Everybody's not on the same page. And as far as Memphis specifically, the statues for me, me and my wife talk about this all the time. Like, they could put Nathan Bedford Forrest statue in my front yard tonight if they gave me some reparations. Like, I would literally, I would hang it in my backyard. Like, if we could do that. The issue is not the statue. The issue is the system that's been created to keep, black people of color.
Well, this is something that Ta-Nehisi Coates has written about extensively and got a lot of attention. For people who don't know what we're talking about, just Google Ta-Nehisi Coates and reparations, and it's all there. And it's something he believes in strongly, but it's going to shock you. White people push back on it pretty hard. Talking to Marco Pavé here in the studio. The album's called Welcome to Graceland. Show tomorrow night at the High Tone with Alfred Banks. Are you a big sports fan?
I am. Yes, sir.
I saw you tweeting about the Kaepernick thing, which is obviously a big story. Last night in New York, they had estimates more than 1,000 people were outside of the NFL headquarters. And a guy named Jamal Bryant, he's a reverend, he said this last night on the microphone to the crowd. He said the NFL has proven with their treatment of Colin Kaepernick that they do not mind if black players get a concussion. They just got a problem if black players get a conscience. What do you make of what's happened with Colin Kaepernick and those protests and how they get twisted into whatever they get twisted into?
Man, it's shocking to me, and even here's my ignorance coming in. I have to work with the same thing that I just told listeners to think about, thinking that the NFL was greater than the actions that they've shown. We've been talking about concussions. They allow their players to have concussions. They allow their players to stay on the team until it's found out that he assaulted his wife. These are the same people. And for Colin Kaepernick to receive this treatment, I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was, just because how minute what he was doing. He was taking a knee, like literally. Like, I've seen it happen before it became a thing. I've seen people not do anything. I've seen people have their arms by their side. I've seen people sit on the sideline. But since he did it as a protest, he became, target number one. And it's just shocking to me that no team will pick him up with the stats that he has. NFC championship team. Just it's crazy.
No, it is crazy. And it is also, and I've talked about this many times, when he at first this offseason couldn't get a job, people would say, well, it's not because he's not good enough. They come up with all these reasons, and now it's pretty clear. Everybody acknowledges, we're not even having that conversation anymore. Everybody acknowledges because multiple owners have acknowledged it. No, it's because of the possible backlash, and so now Michael Bennett with the Seattle Seahawks has sort of said, you know what, if Cap's not in this league to do what he was doing, I'll be in this league and do. They ain't gonna cut me, and so I'm in this league. He's sitting down during the national anthem now, and what's interesting, he also said, I'm curious what you think of this. He said the black players have said enough, and the media has actually said enough. The media is on Cap's side. We need white players to be with us, and now twice in the past week, a white player has been with the black players during the protest and said it's time for us to speak up as well. Is that what brings about change? Not Cap, not Michael Bennett, and this won't be what happens, but Tom Brady, deciding to sit. Now Brady ain't gonna be that guy. Yeah, don't worry about it. But somebody like that. Yeah, you need somebody like that to speak up or rather sit down. Yeah,
that's for sure. The work is being like they all said. The work has been done. It's being done. That's what I have wanted to see. If you take the Missouri team, for example, the college football team, the whole team sat. The coach supported it. He was with it, and that's how it was able to happen. These folks seem just like individual, crazy people on their teams when their teammates don't support what they're doing. If it comes down to a barbecue, if it came down to if your teammate was having a baby, I'm pretty sure you're gonna come. Or if your teammate had a family death, you're gonna like give him a card, show his condolence. Like, what's the difference between like the issues that they're fighting for? So it definitely does need to be, more white players who are in agreement with it to do it, because they won't get the same backlash. They won't, lose a job. They won't be in a Colin Kaepernick situation for the most part. And so, yeah, it could definitely help.
I'm talking to Marco Pavé in a studio, hip-hop artist and activist. The album's called Welcome to Graceland. Show tomorrow night at the High Tone. Let's get back to you. What's next for you? You'll be at High Tone tomorrow night. I got that. What's next for Marco Pavé? I saw you just put a magazine out.
Yeah.
Like most magazines are getting shut down. You got a magazine out?
The River King Zine. Y'all can come out tomorrow night and check that out. It's basically recapping the last 2 tours that I've done with Alfred Banks. It's the River Kings tour. It was the River Kings 1 tour, the first.
Because he's from New Orleans.
Yeah,
you're from Memphis.
Yeah, exactly. And it's both on the river.
Sure.
Blues, jazz, the connections, crunk, bounce music. Those connections are there. So we did 2 tours. Last year, we did 6 dates. One of the shows was actually in Elvis Presley's living room.
How about that?
It was the first house before he bought Graceland.
Right.
It was Audubon Drive. So
right.
we did a hip-hop concert in Elvis Presley's living room.
And then you also did the thing with the orchestra, right?
Yeah, that was this year. This is this past April. River Kings at the Opera.
Right.
It was a sold-out event. It was really, really tight. It was the first hip-hop opera, quote-unquote, in the city. 300 people came out to see us rock. It was awesome.
And so, where do you go from here?
Another tour coming up.
Right.
Me and my man James on his casher. We're going on a West Coast tour. It's called the Ups Tour. Universal Plug Society is what it stands for. And the tour, it's 2 levels. We're going to a bunch of places where cannabis is legalized. And if you look at a place like Memphis where it's not,
right.
I got friends, personal friends that's been locked up for petty weed charges. I'm talking like a 0.5,
right? Like
in jail.
Whereas there's like everybody walking around in California now, it's not even they don't even think about it.
Not even a thing,
right.
But it is a thing at the same time.
Sure.
They're making millions of dollars off of it. So we're trying to show that, compare and contrast with the tour. We're gonna do a documentary about it. And really trying to push for decriminalization in Memphis. Like, I'm not even thinking about legalization. I want decriminalization to be the first thing. I'm tired of people going to jail for a plant. I'm tired of people, lives being ruined for something so simple. And we can find other ways to, generate money for our economy, because that's the main reason why people are going to jail. It's because it's a money grab. And so that's what this tour, in a philosophical way is about. But other than that, it's to go have some fun.
There you go.
And get on the West Coast. We're going to, starting in the Midwest. We taking on St. Louis, Kansas City, Denver, Portland, Seattle, working on some Oakland stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. I'm excited.
You should be excited. I'm excited for you. The album, I can't speak highly enough of it. Terrific. Any album, but especially a debut album. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you being here.
Man, no problem.
And if I can ever help you in any way, you let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's Marco Pavé. He's on Twitter, @King of Marco. Go make sure you follow him, @King of Marco. The album's called Welcome to Graceland. Show tomorrow night with Alfred Banks. That's at the High Tone.
Yeah.
Go check it out. When we come back, I'll tell you about this column Dan Wetzel wrote on Floyd Mayweather from the strip club last night in Vegas. You listen to the Gary Parrish Show here on 92.9 FM ESPN.
All right. Thank you. Let's get a photo.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, that was fun. You were great.
He was terrific.
He was really good.
I knew he would be. That's why I had him, Brad. It's the first time I've ever done a radio show.
It's good.
I knew he'd be great. That's why I wanted him in studio. Jeff Coggins will be here at 5 o'clock. He'll be great, too. John Martin at 5:25. Probably good, at least. Probably was good. He'll be great, too.
He'll be all right.
My little buddy.
It's my first radio talk show. ESPN First Take. I'm coming next. Y'all gotta have me on the station live. We're talking about 24 hours a day type shit. Let me get on there. Yeah.
Start telling stories and forget.